Hello everyone, and welcome to No.78's 10-minute tutorial. This is Adrian, your instructor, and we're going to have a fun time painting this nice seaside scene. I like to call it evening fresh air. So, as usual, the material will be in the description box down there below. So to first start off, I had a dark colored canvas. Now you could do this with black, but of course you see there I have a purple color canvas. And that's just going to make really nicely for the background and get those shadows that we need to make it look like it's the nighttime. And then I decided to turn my canvas in landscape mode. As I put it in landscape mode, I just visually divided my canvas into 3 sections. What you see me doing here now is with my large flat brush, coloring the top section and the bottom section with my blue paint. And so that's what you'll do. You get your large flat brush and color the top section and the bottom section with blue paint. After you're done with the blue paint, you want to go into that middle section with white paint. And as you notice, we're going to start to blend that white paint in that middle section up towards the top and down towards the bottom, so we get a nice blend of that blue mixed in with that white, and it turns that white into a nice sky blue, but it keeps it dark at the top, dark at the bottom, and that's what's really going to give us that effect that this is a nighttime evening scene. So just go ahead and blend those colors together, as you see there in the picture or in the video. The picture, but the video there. And once we do that, you want to make sure that you clean that brush, dry it, and now we're going to go into our next color. Now this color is something that I mixed up. It's a pink color, or you might want to use a coral color. It's up to you. But I'm putting that pink color, mixing it right in with that white. So I'm blending that pink color in with the white that I got there in the middle. And as I'm doing so, you can see that I'm blending the pink, the white, all the blue together. And so now our canvas kind of looks like some weird color flag, right? And that's what we're looking for. And we don't want a very soft blend. We kind of want that hard or that rough transition that we're seeing there. So now I picked up my round brush, and for me, this is the number 11 round brush. So we could call that our large round brush. And I'm going to load that brush up with black paint. Now with that brush, I'm just dabbing the tips of the bristles of that brush loaded with black paint, and I'm dabbing it all across the top of that middle section, if that makes sense. So as you can see, there is at the top of that middle section, and I'm just dabbing little trees or foliage there in the background. And once I dab that foliage in there, now I'm just taking my brush and I'm sweeping that foliage down, or some of that paint that's in that foliage down, trying to make it look just like it looks at the top. So if my tree is very tall on the top, as I'm streaking it down, I'll make sure I streak it down very far, just as far down, so it could give the appearance that there's a reflection there. And so just go ahead and take your brush and dab it and do just as you see me doing there in the video. And of course, like I always say, we're not copying machines, we're artists. So maybe you don't want it to be a nighttime scene. Maybe you want it to be a daytime scene. That's totally fine. So use lighter colors. Don't use a black or a dark painted canvas to start off with. But whatever you do, I want you all to be creative. Go for what you know. Be as creative as you want to be. I'm just teaching techniques. I want you all to be very, very creative. So in the next step that I'm doing now is I'm going to grab my palette knife or my painter's knife. And I'm just etching little branches or twigs into the little dabs of bushes and trees that I put in my background there. And that's just a simple way that I like to show that there are little branches that are sticking out all the way in the background. And after I do that, I'll go back over and kind of dab some more of that black paint on it. And as I'm dabbing that black paint back on it, you can still see those little lines showing that they're branches, but they're not standing out so bright. And that's how we want it. And then as I go down, I just blended those colors down with the dry brush and gave it kind of a hazy look down there at the bottom. Because as we're going to see shortly, those are going to be reflections that's going to reflect in that water. So at this point, I decided, hey, let's put the moon in there. And that's what I did. So I took my small round brush. Now, well, not small round brush, but small flat brush. And I made a circle there for the moon. Very small circle. And then I just measured right up under that moon, right underneath that point right there on the canvas that showed the reflection in the water. And I just zigzagged that brush back and forth all the way down to the end of the canvas. And that just gives the appearance that moon is reflecting off of the water. And then after that, I took my brush, put little dabs of white into my trees. And what that does is it gives the appearance that moon is reflecting or is giving highlights to some of those trees that's there in the background. So at this point, I want to thank you all for supporting Door.78. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. Please hit that thumbs up button down there. Show that you like this video. That'll help us out a lot. And don't forget to share this video and our other videos with your families and friends. There's so much going on in the world today. Just give them the opportunity to relax, sit back, create something that they can be proud of. Now, after I put those reflections at the top, I put a few dabs also in the reflections that's in the water. Now I'm grabbing my large flat brush again, and at this point I decided to add more blue right there in the reflection of the water to more adequately reflect what's going on in the sky. There wasn't much red in my sky, so I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and make that adjustment and add more blue reflecting in the water. And actually, that came out with a very nice touch, because once I put that blue down, I also loaded up my large brush with white paint, and I just started with a very soft brush stroke. And when I mean soft, I let that brush tiptoe across the canvas, and I just started blending that white in with that blue and with that soft touch. And look what happened. It started making it look misty, very misty there. So it looked like it was somewhat of a mist coming up off the water. At the same time, we got the reflection of those trees in the background down there in our water. So to really give this the appearance that this is a watery scene, we're going to go back in a little while with our palette knife. But right here, I decided to grab my small flat brush again and just add a few more details to the reflection of the moon. And so this is the point where I took my palette knife and I just got a roll of paint on the edge of my knife, and now I'm just adding in water lines. And that right there gives the appearance with the white paint on our palette knife that's the water or the wave hitting up against that shoreline, and has given us our water line, which separates the trees in the background from the reflection in the water. And then I'm doing the same thing in random spots inside of the water, just to show that there's some waves, maybe a few little ripples in the water. It's not too much because this is a still water, still scene. But just to get that appearance, we're going to use that knife. And all we're doing is just cutting it across the canvas. Don't worry, that knife is not going to cut your canvas, all right? It's not a sharp knife to do that. So go ahead and rub that paint on, cutting that paint across your canvas. So I feel pretty good about the way it looked now, but I said, you know what? Let me add just another touch to this reflection. So I kind of made the moon more circular reflection in the water. And then of course I zigzagged in that circle to make it really look like it's reflecting off of that water. So this painting is pretty much done. This tutorial is done. The last step is to sign your name. And you always want to sign your name on your painting. You don't want it to distract from your painting, but you want to make sure your signature is always there. So thank you all once again for sticking with us with this tutorial. I know you enjoyed it, and look at how great your painting came out. Be proud of yourself. And once again, everyone, thank you, and keep painting.